Wasn't that late?
I just like that it looks different close up and then looks prettier further away.
It was like
That's the worst way of explaining it.
It was like 1880s all the way to like 1930.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's been so very long since art history class.
It was like a Wikipedia dive.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
You know Rococo then.
Rococo. Go that far.
Oh, that's my favorite kind of chocolate.
That's my favorite kind of pizza.
Oh,
Hey,
that's a real thing.
Okay. All right.
Always actually bringing the real reality to it and making me sound like it.
Cocoa pizza?
You know Rococo.
Rococo, Rocky Rococos.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a
Oh, it sounds-
thing?
It's mostly in Wisconsin, but there's one left in Brooklyn Center, and it is
okay.
actually my favorite.
I'm from upstate
nice.
New York. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
All right, that's
so
fantastic.
there will
Okay.
be some Minnesota references that I will not get,
Yeah.
which is fine. It's part of the shtick.
Yeah, Rocky
Yeah.
Rococo's is actually Detroit style pizza.
Oh my gosh,
Oh, okay.
I do like Detroit.
I am not
wow.
familiar
Destroy
with
the
Detroit.
pizza.
It's like
What's
that thicker crust, usually
Sure.
square cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's almost a deep dish, but not quite.
All right. I do love
Yeah.
a deep dish. Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Like,
Oh, the soup?
No, that's Chicago
Yeah,
style.
no, that's a casserole, man. It's a casserole.
Yeah.
They keep you warm in the winter.
Right.
Yeah,
You put that right on your
It's like
I don't know if I
it's
can
not,
agree
it's not
on
deep
it.
dish unless it's this thick, right?
Yeah.
And
no.
it sloshes when you carry it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
No. You gotta wait a little bit so it cools down and congeals a little bit.
Yep,
It's like
yep.
like this pie, so it's like actually as thick as a piece of
It's almost
pie.
like a cheesecake at that point.
Oh, exactly.
I
Yeah.
think we discussed this in our food episode, how
Yeah.
like Chicago style pizza
Mario,
is
can I
just
lift this a
an
little bit?
Italian
Yeah.
shepherd's
Help me
pie.
with-
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, brilliant!
I asked the wrong
I'm down with
question.
this. Like, I love this whole food transitional kind of thing. Like, is it taco
Because
a
it's
hot
just
dog?
that.
I don't know. Is a hot right?
Yeah,
Is it, or
pretty
is a
much.
hot dog a taco? I don't know.
It's a
Or
taco.
can you have
It's
a
a
hot
taco,
dog
right.
taco.
Right. Okay, so I just about drove my daughters nuts. I don't know if we're recording or not, but this would be great for like some kind of outtakes or whatever. But so I got on this kick where I was like, you guys have heard of taco pizza, right? Well, I'm gonna make pizza tacos. So I mean, like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I got
I
all
had
the
to put
pizza
that together for a
fixings.
second.
Got the tacos and stuff like that, and and they're like, okay, yeah, that was pretty good. It's kind of like pizza-ish quesadilla, right? But then I went off on a tear. So like now we're gonna do spaghetti tacos, right?
I support this.
Right.
Yeah.
So noodles, spaghetti sauce, meatballs, and that kind of thing. Put that in the tortilla. That was good. But then I took it one step further. Then I did taco spaghetti. So spaghetti noodles, made all the taco fixins.
When is that just Skyline Chili?
Right.
Yeah.
And then they're like, Dad, please stop.
You need to stop.
Right. Yeah,
But I want to throw a question out there.
Mm.
When is a pizza taco just a calzone?
Okay.
When you fold it to eat it.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Right.
It's an empanada.
It's
Yes.
an empanada. Like, you got to seal the edges.
Okay, I was say so. If you have a new slice of New York style, like the kind that you
Yeah,
fold, right?
yeah. As God intended.
That's
just a calzone.
To each their own, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm bi, so I'll,
No.
I'll go either way, right?
Yes. So calzone.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ask some
Empanada, if
deep
it's
questions.
pinched close.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
Right.
ravioli or whatever.
Yeah.
you know?
Oh
Then
my
just
God.
looks-
Yeah.
Right.
Or
Yeah, that
Is
was-
ravioli just an empanada?
Yeah.
Well, who did it
Oh,
first?
dude, yeah.
That's always a question.
Or is it gyoza? Like
Yeah.
gyoza or ravioli?
Same
Yeah,
thing.
right.
It's all
Yeah.
dump pierogi.
And is a
Yep.
banana just a banana flavored empanada?
Oh my God. I can't do this anymore.
A natural, like,
The ones in
like-
Colombia look like the street empanadas look like bananas that are deep fried.
This is just going to be the entire
It's
podcast.
just a plantain, yeah.
Suckers, you thought you were turning in for literature and comics.
Yeah.
No.
No, we're doing food all over again.
Oh, that's it.
2.0.
Right?
Well, it's all that
So-
matters.
So
Yeah.
what we're actually here for is comics and caricatures, or
Yeah.
title to be determined later.
TBD. TBD.
With our
I've done both. That's
with
true.
our guest Nathan Lueth.
Just straight up Lueth, the rhymes with
Lueth.
truth.
Lueth. Okay.
I like that.
So
That's all I spelled.
so
That's true.
when you start a podcast, it'll be Lueth Social.
Lueth.
At least I fun that way. What do we say about being political, man?
Yeah, right.
Hey, that's not political. I
do.
express no opinions.
But no, whenever I drop something though, I'll call that a Lueth truth. So
Coming at you.
Lueth truth. You're
handling the truth rather loosely.
Laying down the Lueth truth today, right?
It's a Lueth approximation of the
there we
truth.
go. Sure, it's fair enough. It's close enough.
People make fun of my name all the time. I can pass it forward.
Yeah,
Which
I
part?
appreciate that. Yeah, right.
The middle part. So the K in my middle name, by the way, it stands for it's spelled Kagan, but the G is silent. It's pronounced Khan. So I get all the Star Trek people going,
okay.
because it's elongated.
Yeah. Your name's not Osgark?
That's a great
Osgark.
Yeah.
Osgark.
Yeah. We're actually a race of orcs.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I love it.
Osgark.
Well, I mean, if we haven't noticed, we already started Bards and Balladeers. You know, we're adding one, our Bard or Balladeer. You can choose which one you're.
Sure, I'll take it. I'm less musical, so I'll hang out squarely in the. I guess that is Bard as well.
Give me a taco or a calzone.
Okay, right.
Taco deer.
Artisan. There we go.
Artisan pizza.
Artisanal.
I just say
it's very flowery. I get essence of let's see, clover and what else? Some anise. I don't know. There's more smells, man. You're doing good.
That will not translate to the audio podcast, but the video people will like it.
In the 4D episode.
Yeah, we're still getting those. Send them like essence of oils and everything. It's like, this is what we smell like this episode.
This is what this guest smells like.
We're still getting the new mics that pick up smells. But yeah, so we're here with Nathan. I'm Oscar.
I'm Kate.
I'm Rio.
Hey.
Hello.
We're Bards and Balladeers.
Bards and Balladeers.
Yeah, we did that in sync again. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Bards and Balladeers.
We are in sync.
And it's great to actually connect Mario or Rio. Excuse me, just Rio.
No, it's good.
Yeah. Rio and Oscar and I have been like con warriors together for like the last how long at this point? We've been bumping up against each other.
So I met Nathan in the fall of 2015 when I first had hardcovers out at ValleyCon.
Impressive memory.
You know, for me, all of one book ago. For you, it's probably like 10.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah. All right, but
how many do you have now? I guess if you're have you counted
since 2015. Not including my work for a hire work. Let's see, 4, 5, 6 plus 4. It's I'm gonna go with in the neighborhood of 10 or 12.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Strictly comic books, right?
Strictly comic books, and that's my creator owned work. If you count the things that I've done for publishing houses and companies and what have you, then that number is close to 20, 30, I want to say. Okay. So I'm out there in the world, right?
Nice. Mm-hmm. Your work exists there out in the world.
Yes, I exist. There's proof of my existence in my bona fides somewhere.
We met at ValleyCon up in Fargo. It's a little sci-fi fantasy, fan run con up there. Yes. He was the kind of kitty corner for me selling his comics. So they sort of struck me as sort of anime themed. So I was curious, what's your style of art? What would you kind of call it?
Let's see. I try not to think of like what do I call my style? I kind of just do it. It's always kind of like this hodgepodge of stuff that I've cobbled together over the years. It's just like
strong influences.
Strong. One of my strong influences were anime and animation, both Western and Eastern, has been definitely a strong influence for me. Right. Let's see. Then also, of course, as I came up in the 90s, a lot of 90s Marvel stuff was there as well. Mark Bagley. I will confess to being a fan of Rob Liefeld back in the day, but have since, come around. But let's see, Jim Lee's still fairly impressive with the amount of work that he can output and what he's done as a businessman as well. I respect the heck out of that. So, and then, of course, a little bit of J. Scott Campbell as well. So, so many things that could go on and on forever.
I of course know all those names.
Of course, right.
You met them all,
absolutely, right. They're all buds, right? Close people.
I mean, it's nice though, that out of anything that we all do is that transformative artwork where it becomes like a little bit of everything that you see. Our stories and everything is a little bit of everything that we've been influenced by. So it's kind of cool because I looked at it and it almost has this Disney anime kind of feeling, but I guess you call them the special effects or like the explosions or the auras and stuff like that you do are very impressive to me because that's hard to do and be effective. I feel like, a lot of people can do characters and all that stuff, but backgrounds and like special effects, that to me is impressive.
Right. And that is, that came to me via this mentality of, if you're bad at something, you should do it as much as possible, kind of thing. Like, so I started out hating just doing backgrounds, as most artists do, of course. And it's just like, but because of that, I was like, no, I need to, get good at this. It grounds the character. It's a part of the storytelling. Right. There's a lot you can infer about a world if you populate out the background a lot of the time. So I was like, no, this is as important to the story and the world building. Well, obviously it's the world building, but this is as important to the story and the world in which these characters live as, what the character is doing and how the character is dressed and how they're acting. So, so I kind of made a point to, get it out there. So I'm good. Right now I'm just trying to strike the balance between like how much detail to put into the background. And
I'm sure that's a real challenge too, because we talk about often that you have to sort of balance that character, world building, and plot. And as a reader, you don't often think, like when looking at a comic, about the background, about all these different layers, that really they all need to be so purposeful and so intentional. And as an artist, like how do you, I think you were kind of just talking about, how do you really decide and go through, do you go through like different versions of different like scenes, or I don't know what the specific like images are called, like blocks.
Right. Each a panel.
Oh, panel.
Each square is generally referred to as a panel or a frame. Okay. And so the amount of information, that's a great question. The amount of information that you put in any given panel is can really vary depending on the emotional impact that you want it to have. So if, for instance, you wanted to convey a sense of smallness, perhaps you would have your main character be like, again, visual. I'm gesturing with my fingers, like tiny, tiny.
Oh, sure.
And then really populate out, so they're standing alone on a city street, and it's a very lonely feeling. They're feeling isolated despite the fact they're in a sea of people and stuff like that. So that's one way of visually communicating that sense. One of my favorite panels from my previous series is Impure Blood, is a panel in which the main character is, minor spoilers, go read it, a panel in which the main character is informed that her father is dead, and it's just nothing. It's like a close-up of her, head and shoulders. But there's like zero background. There's not even like a frame around her. She's just kind of like open, and in that way I was trying to capture this sense of just that shock, emptiness, the gut punch of it.
Just being unaware of your surroundings in that moment because it's so heavy on your mind.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of stuff and as far as that goes. As far as world building goes, I am a strong proponent, and I'd like to get you guys' opinion on this as well. I'm a strong proponent of keep your audience on a need-to-know basis. I will not. I'll deliberately not go into the backstory of anything, and just let the character and let the audience kind of learn about stuff via the characters. But even so, I will absolutely put nods to future things that are going to happen in and around the backgrounds or what have you. So a company name that is going to become a big player later on, or or this character that at first brush seems like a just a random NPC, but like later goes on to be like a major player and stuff like that. So
it's almost like putting your own Easter eggs into your own stuff.
Exactly. So upon reread, the readers will be like, it was there the whole time.
I handle things much the same way. And I mean, I will give a little bit of background info, but again, it's through the characters and what they know and what they're thinking of that's relevant to that scene.
Right.
So I might go into a little bit of detail, and you get to play with how much of this is really on their mind. But as long as you make that convincing, you get away with a little bit of exposition in there. It's effective. But I know we've talked previously about what's your favorite of the three pillars: plot, character, or world building. And I wonder for you, the way it sounded with the backgrounds, it sounded like maybe world building was maybe like like lower on that list for you until you decided I need to work on this?
Yeah. And with my first self-published work, In Pure Blood, it takes place in a steampunk world. So that was both an opportunity. Yeah, so that was kind of an opportunity to kind of build that out and really get that home, because if it's just like blank backgrounds and stuff like that, like that's not going to come across necessarily. Or maybe these people just like to dress like vampires. Who knows? Right.
It's all taking place in a LARP.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Live action role play.
Right.
Yes. Check it out. Do it.
But yeah, just the ability to put in old world style buildings and other people who say have biomechanical limbs, and everybody's wearing a vest. That's kind of exactly right. And and as long as we're on the topic, I like to talk about like the fact that every city that they visit in that series is based on a different European city that I kind of been to. Okay. So the town they start out in was like, I was fortunate enough to like tour around a little bit. So the city that they start out in is strongly based on Rome. The city that they wind up in, like strong Parisian influence. The tower in which the final battle takes place is absolutely Gothic inspired. So So I like to take a lot of real world nods. Yeah.
Did you travel there before you did that, or did you
kind of concurrently? So it was kind of like percolating in the back of my mind, and I was like, oh wow, this would be great for this, or that would be great for that, or right.
I love writing off those research trips.
right.
I took a few research cruises. I mean trips down to the Caribbean.
I need
it's important.
I need to see the aurora firsthand. So, right.
Travel to Norway, Finland, somewhere.
Not that we saw it in our own backyard, last year, whatever. That doesn't count. We did. It was cool. It does not count. No.
It's like we just got back from Niagara and everything. So it's like we needed to see waterfalls because it's going to be in our story somewhere. So
I know the first time I met Amanda Mavis and your mutual friend, we talked about this, and she said, I said a lot of my stuff in Minnesota. I think she does. I think that was.
Yep.
Yeah. And she said, maybe I need to start reconsidering that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know. Every expense you have is deductible,
It is. Right. If it's for research purposes. Absolutely. Yeah.
But no. So how much would you say your travel has like affected like just all of this process? I know it definitely has for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, going new places, experiencing new things, talking to new people, of just one of my favorite ways of travel. One of my favorite things to do in traveling is just visit a completely different country where they had to come up with a completely different way to solve the same problems that we did, right? And it's kind of like, we'll never get to travel to other planets and meet alien cultures or anything like that, but it's kind of the closest you can get in our world. So
it's world building within our own world. That's not what you're used to.
Well said. Right. So absolutely. And also there is a thing that happens to your brain when you're adapting to a foreign situation or a slightly uncomfortable alien situation. So what I mean by this is I had the opportunity to study abroad in Japan for a semester in college, and just from the day one, like there was a light switch in my brain that just went off, and my artwork was instantly kicked up to the next level, while I was there. And upon thinking about it, it's like, yes, I'm in this completely unfamiliar situation. My brain is is adapting to something that I'm really unfamiliar with, and I'm thinking on the fly a lot. So my creativity in all things is kind of cranked up to 11. So it was so that was kind of like the eye opener, and I've been a fan of traveling ever since.
Yeah. Right, traveling. Sorry, so traveling really puts you outside that box of either being comfortable or just experiencing new things, like you said. And I really love seeing that. And it's also, even though like you joke and we say like it's not a new world, we're not traveling to new planets, everything, it is a new world, especially 100%. Because like you have to totally conform to whatever that is. Even though we're still breathing the same air and doing all this stuff, we're still human. It's something completely different. Traveling down to Mexico, I've experienced that a lot and everything. It's just a culture shock.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then of course there's just the whole like everything you do and experience kind of becomes a part of your creative stew pot. Right. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that concept, right? Like just it all goes on in the pile in the pot, and it all comes out in new and interesting ways and stuff. So
what's weird too? I heard that, and I don't fact check me on this one, but I heard that like they used to have those big cauldrons of brewing food that way they just keep adding stuff to it to keep, because they didn't have refrigerators or anything like that. They would just keep boiling it and keep it so nothing could survive in it. And they would just add food and soup and stuff like that to it. And then they would just scoop stuff out there. It's like, well, there's my meal for the day.
I just heard a thing about this on like the radio. Like this is like the new food trend. I don't know if it's from like an ancient culture or whatever, but
it probably was like,
this is like going on right now. And so like, but you have to keep it at a certain temperature so that it doesn't start growing bacteria and stuff like that, which can, if you leave your home ever, it can be a challenge.
It's sort of that same thing of like taking meat from putting it in the refrigerator and then the freezer and the refrigerator. At some point, it can get warm enough for long enough that so if you're constantly putting cold ingredients in this heating soup, and you're doing that often enough, I imagine the same kind of thing can happen.
I mean, I suppose, but back then, I think people were a little bit, we died earlier, but they just had to find a way to keep that food going longer. So it's just like, this is going bad. Pop it in the soup.
It keeps coming back to food here.
We like food.
We're all hungry.
It's almost dinner time.
Right over there. There's food.
Let's see.
So like speaking of travel and just you said your art kicked up like to a next level. Just kind of starting from the beginning. How did you come at this career? Like where did you start? What inspired you?
Well, I was never good at anything else, so I had to be good at this. Let's see. Partially true. So stop me if you've heard this one before. Loved drawing for as long as I can remember.
No, I've heard this one.
Right.
Next.
Like most folks in the biz, I just always loved making stories. I always loved drawing. Like Calvin and Hobbes was my first comic love. Like for many of us,
reading the newspaper.
For me, actually, my Nana had the collected books in her basement. So I would like go to Nana's house and I just disappear in the basement for hours reading Calvin and Hobbes.
I did too. That's right.
Duck noise.
Let's see. So and I always liked it, and I was fortunate enough to have enabling parents, so when it came time to go to college or pick a college, they're like, "You are going to art school," and I was like, "Okay,
right." Especially if they're paying for it, it's like,
exactly. And so when it came like junior, senior year of high school, they're all like, okay, these are the prerequisites if you're going to like a state school, like calculus and all this kind of stuff. But but you're going to art school, so they like totally let me kind of take elective classes like design, illustration, etc. I picked out the Minneapolis College of Art and Design.
No way. What years did you go?
2000 to 2004.
Did you go at the same time?
I might have been because
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. I was there for a while, and it was but I was doing 3D animation. It was a little differently. And I give you so much respect, not only that you can draw, but you're doing all three of these things right now. Yeah. But going there, it's just like I took those art classes and I could do 3D modeling kind of, but I'm like, man, I don't like this. It like takes so much work to get to one point. Where I started going to like video editing, I would change my major to video editing because it's like, no, let me play with all the end products and I'll put it all together. And that's more fun to me because I guess I just need immediate gratification or instant gratification because I want to see something evolve where like with art, you know this, you're constantly going at it and drawing all this stuff. And it's, I don't want to say tedious, but it's just, you got to have that dedication, which is incredible, which I give again so much props.
It does get it does get easier once you have your process down. Sure. Like once you know like what your end product is going to look like, and it's like this is this stage, and that's that stage, and that's that stage. And once I'm once I get to here, I am done.
Right.
Next.
Yeah.
Right. So that is helpful. I'm always curious, like, how was foundation year? Did you do your foundation classes? Because so at MCAD, they make you do they make everybody, regardless of what your major is, they make you do drawing, sculpture. They make you take a class in every discipline. And I was always like, man, that has to be obnoxious for like the filmmakers and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, right. Too. Like, why am I doing sculpture?
Why am I drawing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I wasn't there very long and everything before. I was like, I can't do this. Like,
Right.
Yeah. So then I moved over to, was it the Minnesota School of Business?
For
video.
Smart. Right. Yeah. Right.
So.
And that is, I say my primary criticism of most art schools is always a little bit of like, you need to teach kids the business, because they'll get good at art just by virtue of the fact that they love doing art, but you need to teach kids how to like make a buck and
to sell yourself and to get out there and absolutely.
So anyone looking to hire an artist, hire recent MCAD grads.
They need the help.
Right. No, I cannot endorse that one, I'm afraid. But right. So like I am trying to coach him though a little bit. So
do you have any horror stories about like people coming to you with like, and you always hear the joke like, oh, I can't pay you, but I'll give you exposure or something like that.
Yes, so many. Like I swear. Speaking of trying to hire recent MCAT grads. Right. So I never picked up on that one too much, and I personally. Let's see, I've had it proposed to me, but I a few times, but I was always kind of like, nope.
Right. You know your value.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I did it exactly once, and it was all good intentions, and I do still have the 10-page short comic that I did with the gentleman to this day. And it is something that I have learned I can repackage and continue to sell on my own. It was a collaboration, and like no ill will between the two. I was like just looking for a project, and he provided me with one. But yeah, no, that's kind of one of the brilliant things about what we do is you make it once and you get paid for it forever. So
there's this mentality that some people have when they see you do the work, and then they judge by the time it takes for you to do it, not the time it took you to get to that point,
Right, exactly.
And that's what kills me. I'm like, no, come on. You're paying for their talent. That's what
right. And to speak to both sides of that, like if you're working with a publisher or something like that, like they got a deadline, they're trying to get this book out and in whatever fiscal year. And now that I'm kind of working that side of things as well a little bit, like I totally understand you need to get stuff needs to get done and stuff like that.
But you negotiate that. Though. It's like, okay, then you have a deadline.
And let's see. And again, talking to both sides of things, a lot of artists will indeed, just milk it. Well, not milk it, but work it to death and just keep going over it until it's perfect.
Right.
It's like you can't let perfect be the enemy of done.
There is no perfect.
There's no such thing.
Perfectionism is definitely the enemy of productivity.
Yes, 1,000%.
It's nice hearing that from an artist, though.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like artists probably are more harsh on themselves than some writers are. Although I'm very bad with that. Still learning. Trust the process.
I feel like it also takes less effort for people to criticize, because with our books, people have to like actually take the time to read.
Right.
And for your stuff, if they're just if they're just judging art, it's like look at it. Oh, I hate it.
Although I will tell
critical.
Although I will tell you, there is a degree of frustration, and this can be our segue into caricatures if you want, because I will still draw caricatures for fun and profit, but like trying to selling somebody a drawing that it took me like 10 minutes to do, $20, no problem. Bada bing, bang, boom. Trying to get people to buy a book that I've put years of my life into for $20 is
I wrote a whole essay on that on my blog,
Yep.
It's
got to be something about like,
it's the time investment. It's the hidden cost.
It is.
Well, a lot of times when you get some of those things, are like, it's like spending money on like a carnival game and everything. It's the entertainment of all. Like you get that caricature and it's done right there, and it's the immediacy. Like people are so like in need of that immediacy, right? So when you give it to them, it's like, it's worth $20. I got a picture of me looking weird. And,
Well, and I want to do an episode too at some point on like payoffs, because like humor, when people write humor, it's an easier sell a lot of the time because every laugh is a payoff.
Yeah, absolutely. That endorphin, like
it's kind of in that same realm of like, romance has lots of payoffs. Anything that makes you feel strongly, mystery has a strong payoff. Like emotional that's impact. Horror has that as well. Right. So these are the genres. These are some of the most popular genres. And they're the ones that have the most frequent short-term payoffs.
Right. Yeah. Because they're always coming. And then you're working to get to that next one. Like you'll get through it or whatever. Yeah.
That's a legit theory. Yeah. I think you're dead on with that one.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I have lots of theories, and then like, other people can test them. I'm just spewing stuff.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a hypothesis then.
Right.
You have to have like a list of Oscar sayings. We'll have to
Oscarisms. Yeah. You need to come up with Oscar wisdom.
I'm actually, I'm building those.
There you go. I like
it. Be like, yoga quotes, but dumber. I don't know.
Nice.
Like that.
So yeah, like I'm curious after like MCAD. Like what carried you towards this particular channel?
Right. So after MCAD, as I mentioned, I got into drawing caricatures at the Mall of America and was instantly hooked. Because speaking of endorphin pings, like that first time I ever got like somebody handed me cash money for a drawing I did, it was like, oh my god, right.
This is it. This is the way.
This is the way. Right.
I know Mike Judge said something like that with his first views, and Buddy's like $2,000.
Yeah. So for a long time, a lot of my career was based on that drawing caricatures freelance, and I was seeing a writer at the time who had a fantasy novel she'd been trying to get out the door for like since high school, as many of us do. And she was kind of like, "Hey, you're an artist. I'm a writer. How about we do a webcomic together?" And so we submitted our collaboration to the now defunct DC at the time. DC Comics had what was basically a talent search, American Idol, but for comics kind of thing going on.
Awesome.
Sure.
Right. And so the deal was, we get to be, if you win the votes, you get, we're your publisher, we'll pay your domain and hosting fees and all this kind of stuff. And what have you. So we submitted to that. We didn't win, but we were like, we're going to carry forward with this anyway. So So I spent, and it was a lot of fun. I'm obviously, as if you've heard me talk at all about it, that I'm proud of the work that I did on it. However, it wasn't anything close to what I considered to what could be considered financially successful. So like, I think the best we got was just by ad revenue, it, kind of paid for its own hosting a little. And that was, about it. Right. It was something, but it was kind of like, meh.
And then you're like, if they'd only paid for our hosting.
So the series, the story came to its conclusion in 2017. I knew I wanted to do something new with like another story because I loved making original stories. I wanted to do something new, but I also wanted to do a deep dive into like, how do I make this financially successful and not a colossal, sink. So spent a year or two in the wilderness making friends with people who had been successful on Kickstarters, investing in some online learning programs and this, that, and the other thing, and repackaged and relaunched the series on Kickstarter in 2020.
Nice.
Funded literally the week before everything shut down for the pandemic. It was great. Right.
With your pallet of books.
That's $13,000 worth of books.
So, and then I've just been kind of rolling with it ever since. So now, again, that was when I funded that first Kickstarter. That was the second time in my career I was like, this is the way. Yeah. This is it. Okay, this is amazing. I can get paid a decent amount of money for making my own stories.
Right. And that people want to see this too. That's a big thing.
I mean, that is kind of a crazy feeling when there's like some guy in Singapore who like really who is like
please more.
Some guy, right?
Sorry,
go.
I think that's one of the most fascinating parts about writing or creating or making some kind of content is that, you know, maybe I've been more harsh on myself as I've grown up, that the world almost makes you feel like your voice, what you have to say doesn't matter. And then once you have this tangible thing that you can sell, give away, whatever people want more of, it completely changes that mentality. And I feel like as an artist too, like that's got to be, not to say that you're putting in, it's not about effort or, you know, how much is put into it, but you're also creating art and story with it too. So it's multiple layers. So that's got to feel really good.
It does. So I come from a family of financial people.
So you took a different route.
I took the left turn. I am the black sheep. But so I was talking to my auntie recently, and I'm like, it's like this. So being a creative, being an artist is like living in a world where like 90% of people are like, oh, you're amazing. What you do is amazing. Like, it's so cool that you do that. And I love your work and all this kind of stuff. But only like 5% of people will actually give you $1 to do it. Right. Yeah. Oh. So yes, but yes, it is absolutely like, it is, again, that emotional ping, that endorphin ping. It is very validating to be able to use, online resources like Kickstarter, like social media, in order to find an audience and bring them into my oeuvre. So, it's a weird. I try not to think about it too hard because then you get into that whole kind of parasocial relationship kind of thing, and it's just like, boundaries are important. You know, right.
Got to be able to turn it off at the end of the day, or at some point in a day. Right?
Not all of my fans are my friends,
but which is so huge, isn't it? Yeah, like it's like this is not somebody who, like, because there's again that artist insecurity a little bit. Like there's not that lingering doubt, like, oh, they're just you don't actually like what I do. They're just giving me money because they're my auntie or whatever. But some rando that you've never met before. That's the stuff right there. I want to bathe in that.
Yeah, and it is nice. You know, you always get these, like, I had this guy come over to us last convention we were at, and he came back. He's like, I bought your first book, read it that night. I had to get the second one because you did everything I didn't expect you to do. And that was like, holy crap. And then it just like,
and it's not a short book, you know? It's I mean, some people are fast readers. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
no, me either.
I can barely write that fast, you know. Like,
I was like, I mean, when I have that happen, I'm like, that's a comic book, whatever. But yeah, like a whole novel, that's impressive. That's legit.
Man, I still like, you know, and it's one of those things where you see other people who do stuff that you can't.
Yes.
Like, and I give you credit. I wish I could draw, man, because everything I would do would be comic books because I've always been a visual person.
Right.
Like, you know, because the information you can get just from looking at an image is so powerful.
Yes.
And it's not just interpretation. It's also just like, if you, like you said, there's theory behind it, like, you know, the impending doom, or like, you know, the way that you can train the eyes to go in certain directions depending on how you draw the image. Framing too. Yep.
Oh, like, and I mean, in comics, lettering is such a huge thing. Like the word balloons, and there's just such a. I've had like hours long debates with people about the proper way to do things, and because and it's unfortunately one of those unsung parts of the craft, because like if you do it right, nobody notices you're doing anything at all, right? You know, like if the eye is naturally flowing from one balloon to the other, and you're just reading it, and you're not consciously thinking about it, that's when it's working properly. But if people aren't sure what word balloon to go to next, or like they're not sure if that is that, like I have spent like literally hours trying to figure out how to convey TLDR. Well, do I write it out phonetically TEEELLDR, or do I like T-L-DR, or like how do I? So like what's the most effective, or the dots, you know, so yeah, it's that marriage of between the written word and the imagery.
Sure.
And you kind of like, that's the beauty of comics to me, is that it's existing in that kind of nebulous space, and it's making both sides of your brain work at the same time.
Yeah, you're getting that aspect of the director's chair, because it's often the director. It's often the director.
The power,
Yes.
But they're often the ones who are deciding like what to focus on, when to zoom out, zoom in, when to cut scene, like when to try a different camera angle or whatever. And you're having to do that all yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And you're calling me out a little bit here because like what I really wanted to do was film, but I don't like working with other people. So
I get it.
Right.
I've heard that so many times from you.
When it was in video, I was like, I can turn some of my story ideas into video, but then I had to get people, I had to make sets, I got to get costumes, I got to do all this stuff. I'm like,
the craft table.
Like the craft table. But it's not impossible, but like such even more dedication than like drawing or writing. It's just like you had to get people that you trust, people that you can rely on,
motivate them,
and then direct them, get your director of photography, get your grips, all this stuff, So
I know in Hollywood there's a core of character actors who are, it's not even just known that they're great at character acting, but I think also known for being easy to work with, being like, no matter like what they have to do, they will show up and do it. And they can take instructions verbally, visually, whatever. And like that's worth its weight in gold.
No Tom Cruises, like, that's what I'm going to do. Like, I don't care if I break my foot on this stunt. I'm going to do it because I'm Tom Cruise.
Whatever his other issues. He's reliable. He shows up, he's pleasant to deal with, and he does the job.
Speaking of breaking your foot, did you know that Viggo Mortensen
I just made him watch. I just made him watch Two Towers.
And it happened. We both looked at each other. We were just like, he broke his foot.
I giggled like a few seconds before. I was like, I'm not going to say it.
By the way, just quick aside, the musical equivalent of that is everyone telling you that, the guitarist for Queen is an astrophysicist.
Oh my gosh. Yes. It's the same thing.
Although, no, seriously, I didn't know that.
Yes. And he built his first guitar.
You think that like that's cliche at this point, but every once in a while, you meet somebody. I was at a Killers concert last night, and I was like, the bassist looked just like Brian May, and I was telling my date, hey, he's an astrophysicist, and he's like, whoa, I did not know that. Oh my God, right?
Yes.
Or she really wanted you to like.
Fair, actually, Okay.
I've been bamboozled.
Geez, now I got to think about that.
Oh no, that is really
Her room actually is all like Queen posters.
Right.
It's got like astrophysicist monthly or whatever.
Right. You have one question for Brian May. What would it be? I want to know if we're all being extruded through a black hole right now.
I don't know.
There might be another reality attached to it. They say
that's what I heard. I mean, that would. My immediate question is like, would that solve like? Does that kind of explain the Big Bang? If everything's emanating out from a single point or whatever, then like if that would make total sense. If we're like, getting like. We're all being extruded, like extruded from a black hole.
I've never heard that as a theory or whatever, and I love that
because it pulls you apart atom by atom.
See,
it's a descent.
I think my question would be like, okay, assume that is happening. Now play what that would sound like on guitar.
Well done.
Just one note. It's a G. That's
a G. Okay, wow.
I love this.
Oh, nice G string, right?
I played bass for G string.
Yeah.
G string extruder. Wait, no, that's a different thing.
Depends how far it's gone. You're all imagining it now, so you're welcome.
I thought I was going to be on a comics podcast.
No.
Buckle up, buddy.
All right. Bards and Balladeers, tell stories, whatever they might be.
Fair.
Speaking of music, like has music ever inspired any of the comics that you've done?
All the time, and it is kind of like the greatest. My biggest annoyance about comics is that you can't really do music with them. There's not a good way to do music in comics. Like I've seen it attempted a few times, but it's with mixed results. So I think the closest I've ever seen it be really successful was the first volume of Scott Pilgrim, in which like that actually has a song that was composed by Brian Lee O'Malley in it. I don't think it actually made it into the movie. I'm kind of disappointed, actually. I thought that would be like a gimme to record it
Easter
for
egg,
but yeah. So, but largely, when you're kind of working on a strictly visual medium and there isn't any auditory output, it's very difficult to do music. Now, that said, music that I listen to has absolutely affected the dialogue that I write. It actually absolutely affects the mood. Like if I'm writing a certain scene, there is a certain type of music that, that I love putting on, and it kind of puts me there,
Sure.
So while I do wish, and like I've seen poetry kind of sometimes worked into people's stuff, but if you don't like have a musical, if you don't kind of have like a musical rhythm or background, it just reads like poetry,
Sure.
So
Less haiku.
Right.
Or you can do a version of subliminal backmasking where like on each page, maybe there's like one or two notes in frames, and at the end you put them all together and it's a song.
Right.
Well, it's going to be like Contact where it's 3D, so you had to make like a cube.
And then you have to play it backwards and it says, clean your room.
That's a nice recipe for soup. It's great.
And that's ever cooking soup.
Man.
See, this is what we do. Bring it right back.
Call back.
Secular comedy.
But I know we've talked about playing music while we write, or having music in, like I had a whole second disc of Aphex Twin Ambient Works Volume 2 inspired this whole story in my head, but at some point I want to convey visually, not even written, just visually, but I don't do visual things.
Right.
So I kind of wondered like how that maybe ever happened for you.
Yeah, sometimes like in a similar way, I would say, to how Metallica is inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, or say how, don't know if any Leonard Cohen fans in the audience, but how...
our audience is pretty massive.
Totally. Like,
reach a whole tens of 20s of people.
Right. Totally. But like the song Alexandra Leaving is actually based on an ancient Roman poem, I think, by Cincinnatus. Don't quote me on that.
Fact check.
Somebody took the fact check.
Yes.
You heard it here. Nathan Lueth alleges.
Oh God! Right. Not a Lueth truth right there.
No.
Right. But yeah, no. So there. As I don't want to give anything away just yet, but the short answer, yes, absolutely right.
Because we talk a lot about like cross-pollination between different art forms, and like we talk about video games a lot. What what inspires you from there, or music, or just stuff in the world that you notice.
Well, in that case,
other forms of art,
right? The current climax to my series. The climax to the series that I'm currently working on, the Canon Evangel, is absolutely based on like a video game premise. So like my main character, my paladin Evangel, her job is to keep the main boss occupied while kind of like a contingent of minions is freeing his minions from mind control. So, which is like, so there's like that aspect of what is it in video games? What do you call that? Where you have to protect the NPC.
Yeah, escort mission.
So it's a little bit escort mission.
Right. Those original StarCraft those missions.
So it's so the climax I'm working on right now, in fact, is kind of a mashup of a boss battle and an escort mission.
Which is
a little bit,
nice.
right?
Cool, yeah.
So
it's more of a boss escort.
And
that's also something different too.
There's a service for that.
But then, as you mentioned, as you touched on earlier, like I am a fan of film, so I definitely paid attention to, you know, like framing and and the photography in cinema and stuff like that. Right. So,
do you have a movie that you think that does that very well?
Oh my gosh, I am such a fan of the Wachowskis. Like,
thank you.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so if you are,
I am.
Moment of truth.
Yes. Oh my God. You're the one other human being on the planet.
I know, right?
Right.
They're trying to get Oscar to watch it.
Yeah,
so
they're trying to get me to watch it. It's like, hey, we're going to do this tomorrow. Can you join us? We will do it, but I got to have the time.
So I saw originally at the IMAX, the Apple Valley movie.
That had been good.
Oh my God, blew my mind. Like seriously, when he jumps out of the car and does a whole
oh my God.
And they're racing. I don't know if you know that.
And
spoiled the whole thing.
Speeding and racing.
But talk about framing, right?
Oh yeah. Like, okay. So like the Wachowskis take some big swings sometimes, and they don't always hit, and fine, whatever. But like they know how to film a fight scene, which is like, and like every forking Marvel movie that I go to lately, I'm like, I mean, there's a lot of choreography going on, I assume. It sure would be neat if I could see it.
Right.
Because
it's so fast. It's one of my biggest pet peeves.
Same. Like, but yeah, no, like from The Matrix all the way on up, like they know how to film a fight scene. Right. Absolutely.
I'm kind of curious about what your feelings is about then Jupiter Ascending too.
Let's see. Oh, that is on my. So here's my deep dark secret. I have a list of stuff I want to do right. Like so, there's a list of like, that was a really good idea, but the execution stank, right? I want if I ever, have a comic studio and like can make other people draw for me while I write.
Sure. Nice, right?
Right. I have a list of projects that I would like to take my swing at. Take the idea, but take my swing at them. And Jupiter Ascending is on that list.
Because good
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of interesting ideas. Like huge, right?
Pacing alone.
Again, like I will never fault them for taking big swings and having big ideas. And that's what I like about their movies. Is like the big idea movies.
Right.
But yeah, there's just a lot of poor execution. Poor execution. A lot of people just talking about stuff. And
and Sean Bean, for some reason.
And Sean Bean for some reason. So
I need to hear that in like an honest trailer starring Sean Bean for some reason.
or starring Sean Bean for 15 minutes. Again, and I mean, I'm no more a fan of the Matrix sequels than anybody else, but
to your point though, like second and third movies they're all right and everything. They probably could stop with the first one. The third one, I always say that dock scene and that whole kind of like situation, I absolutely love. I think it was well executed that way. Sure. But it's just like it became too much happening at one time with a lot of Matrix movies, right? And
they're kind of too long. I think.
Yes.
Not unrealistically long.
No,
it's like kind of as long as it needed to be, but that was too long.
They needed another editing round.
And if I can be critical of them, even though I love them, I think their big ideas get in their own way a little bit sometimes. So like Cloud Atlas, like again, another one of my favorite all-time movies. I watched them in an interview trying to pitch it, and they're using all these big words like interconnectivity
synergy
and all that. And I could just see the interviewer, the host, doing that, insert just trying to follow. And I'm just like, kids, look. Everybody has seen like Love Actually, right? Where it's a whole bunch of it's a whole bunch of little stories, but they're interconnected. So Cloud Atlas is like that, only rather than it all takes place in different parts of the same city, it takes place over the throughout time.
Sure.
So the stuff that somebody does in the past affects what somebody does 100 years later, affects what somebody does 100 years later, and affects what somebody does 100 years later.
Some of them are connected by lineage. Some of it's just like things they did.
And there's like it's on butterfly wings at some point.
But
I love Ashton Kutcher.
But it is a gorgeous movie about causality and how even the smallest things done, a small acts of kindness done, literally I think 700 years prior, can have a positive effect, in the distant future. Right. It is a huge, one of my top 5 favorite movies. I cannot recommend.
It's a little long, but I understand because there's so many stories.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well,
you're making me. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to go on a tangent about the soundtrack because I'll often listen to soundtracks way before I'll watch a movie just because it just comes up on my radio.
And you're just a big music person.
That too. Yeah. I just like movie soundtracks mostly because most of the time they're instrumental and I can't write to worded things. It just doesn't, just doesn't work. But the Cloud Atlas soundtrack, there's one song on there that I haven't finished watching it, but you said no spoilers. I think what you said is, pretty a relevant theme throughout the entire thing. There's one song that it slowly builds, it's just a few instruments playing the main theme. And just as it goes, maybe 4 or 5 times, it continues to build into this beautiful giant symphonic thing that perfectly matched what you were just saying. Yes. So now we got to go watch it. So I can finish watching it.
Yourself. Read the book as well.
Oh, okay.
I love the work of Mitch Albom. So from novels. So again, speaking of cross media influences. Yeah. So 1,000%.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
You were just making me think that I wanted to parody this concept of these tiny things affecting everything and have it be the reverse of we've got to fix a Homer Simpson kind of thing, go back in time and let's all vote differently and go back to the future and absolutely nothing changed.
It's the same. Yeah.
Oh man,
that hurts.
That would be. I mean, I could totally see it a Hitchhiker's Guide-esque, time travel movie in which people
write that down.
Just loop me in. Loop me in. I'll do the storyboards for you. Right?
Have you heard the theory about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Which one?
About all of them. So apparently that each one, from the radio play to the TV series to the movie, every iteration is completely different. The book too, because every time it's been written or done has been changed by the improbability drive of the Heart of Gold. So that's why each one is different. So it's as a book, it's this. As a movie, it's this.
Yeah, it fits. That fits, right?
And I love that idea.
I'm sure he would. I'm sure
he would love that.
He would
approve of that,
right?
Although of that hypothesis.
And I just got to keep. Speaking of putting ideas out into the ether, I have to put this one out. If any property deserves a streaming series, Hitchhiker's Guide, done by the BBC, of course.
Sure,
but as God intended.
You could update that a little bit. I love the cheesy special effects as much as the next person, where Zaphod's head looks like it's about to fall off his shoulders. But right. But we could update some stuff.
As always. Even watching Lord of the Rings, we were just kind of making it's not bad CG and everything, but it's just you can tell it's. I don't want to say dated, but
it's only just starting to be dated.
Yeah,
I really feel
a little bit. And I didn't notice it when I first watched it because, of course, at the time that was the pinnacle, right?
Right. And while we're at it, let's fix the rest of it.
You know what?
You shut up. I actually started enjoying it last time I watched it.
He did. He was asking questions.
Should ask
he
me
knows
those
too
questions.
much. He knows too much.
That is part of the thing. HD is just so unkind to older special effects, Firefly. And SD it looks great, but I had a chance to watch it in HD recently, and it's just that chip looks like it's made of plastic. Right.
Yeah, the 3D. But you know what's funny? It says we watched Fifth Element because we always talk about Fifth Element and HD and everything. And I've seen this movie 20 times, and when I watched it in HD and 4K first time, there's twitches and just little face movements I never noticed that add okay. I can't even say an extra element because it's perfect the way it is, but it's just
sixth element.
Can we go back and give retroactive Oscars?
They should. Everybody.
That was Gary Oldman, man.
Gary Oldman.
Now he's just Gary Old Man.
Yeah, he's just Gary Man. Right. He's like Gary Old Man. Yeah. So that's one we talk about Fifth Element. Like every
inspirations,
time.
right?
Inspiration. Fifth Element is the trump card on this.
Podcast.
Absolutely. It's the thing that breaks every rule and makes everything good.
And we could have fit it into the food episode too because of the cherries.
Oh yeah,
cherry. Somehow. I don't know if you remember the cherry.
He chokes on cherry.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the children?
Arrogance.
So I'm going to tie it back around.
Lunch.
Let's see. If you like The Fifth Element, quite a bit of the aesthetic and story of the movie was based on the works of the comic artist Mobius and Jodorowsky. So if you like that vibe, you should totally look it up because they worked closely with Luc Besson to design this movie.
Who's the guy who did the?
He almost did Dune too. Like back in the day. While you're googling stuff, check out Yodo. Sorry, I'm an Anglophile. Jodorowsky's Dune.
Okay.
So So it's kind of a fun documentary about a version of Dune that was almost made but never was. So
interesting.
You have to send us a list of these things.
I think so.
I'm not going to remember any of them.
Here's your homework. This podcast comes with homework.
No, I do the editing. That's all I do.
Just a little time out here. Like, what is it that you're working on currently?
Oh, absolutely. My current ongoing series is called The Canon of Vangel. It takes place 10 years after a magical reawakening has turned the modern world upside down. And a paladin, formerly a member of a group that was trying to, keep the mundane and the magical separate, is, kind of trying to find her new place in the world. She's trying to help mystical and mundane people alike navigate the new normal. And of course, maybe if she has time, pump the brakes on the apocalypse in progress.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice little side job.
I used to play bass for Apocalypse.
Oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought of that. All right, so that's my current ongoing series. I also have a Kickstarter running right now called Concrete Arcanum. It is an anthology book put together by myself and a whole bunch of other indie comics artists. With a similar vibe. It's about what if magic and monsters were found out to be real by the mainstream world, and how do they kind of adapt to the current state of things? How does society adapt to them? And I've managed to assemble a amazing crew of talent for this thing, and just 30 stories, and just each one of them is just hit after hit after hit. Dang. So I this is one of those, every once in a while, I don't know if you guys have had this experience where you're like shocked by your own project a little bit. Holy crap, I got something here. Right. But that is this right now. So Concrete Arcanum, Living with Monsters, live on Kickstarter until July 18th.
Perfect.
Right.
We'll put the link down below.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. When we get t-shirts, though.
Yeah, okay, absolutely.
Because we will wear it on the show.
Copies. Right, there we go.
And so if you don't mind me asking, because I'm learning more about anthologies and whatnot as I'm seeing more and more. So each artist is doing one edition or?
Let's see. So we've got a whole combination of things. Some artists like myself both write and draw. Sure. Some are working as teams. So they have one person writing, one person doing the drawings, one person doing the lettering, etc., and kind of everything in between.
Wow. Okay. Nice. That's really cool.
Oh yes, thank you very much. People make jokes about artists and herding cats and stuff like that, but I do have to say, like every one of these people is like consummate professionals, communicative, punctual, awesome work all around. So I had zero problems with
that's always nice.
Dream team.
Right. Really. Yeah.
And can get along with each other.
Sometimes
that's the missing piece, I find.
It really is. And I like to think it has something to do with the fact that I kind of handpicked all these people from communities online communities that I was a part of. but there was an open call as well. So some of them were folks it's a good solid combination of folks I kind of knew and folks I've never met or I'd never even heard of before. And
but now you know.
But now I know.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a friend I hadn't met before. Yeah, right.
What's that movie that's from? It's like somebody's just a friend I haven't met before. It's like
a stranger to a friend I just haven't met before. That sounds like a SpongeBob, or maybe I just sounded like SpongeBob.
Tom Kenny.
It could be. Yeah.
You don't have any friends.
That's because I wish everyone would leave me alone.
Nice. Do you do that for your kids a lot?
Yes, and they're like, please stop.
I'm doing it for myself.
Yeah, right. I do it
This is for me.
Yeah.
I don't write to my audience.
Nope.
But yeah, it's been a pleasure. I mean, this has been an eye opener to comic book stuff, and we all appreciate that. I know that, and thank you for being one of our first guests.
Absolutely,
that's
anytime.
Very good. Okay, well, next week.
Okay, I can do that, right?
Yeah, but we'll I hope that you have much success, and we'll put all your information out there, and people will find you, and hopefully we'll have you again next time.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. So we've been Bards and Balladeers. This has been Nathan Lueth, and Oscar, Kate, and I will see you again next week. Peace out,
Cheers.
guys.
Bye.